State's most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. We have a few more nice days ahead of us before a chance of rain is headed our way for the rest of the week. Here's Michael with the first check of your forecast.
And a gorgeous Monday start, Tanya, as evident with clear skies. A shot of the moon right there. A sky camera outside the mothership really doesn't do it justice. If you have a chance, get out, just look down to the southeast right there. It has a nice bright orange glow to it. As far as what we're looking at for our current conditions, 44 degrees in Joplin, only feeling like it's 40 though. Not too bad for early March, and a clean Skywatch storm tracker. Remember that blue, just a little residual picked up from the sweeping radar. A little bit of cloud cover there over the Ozarks. Everybody else remaining on the very, very clear side. 41 in Pittsburgh, 39 in Anderson. Let's roll 43 in Chanute. So temperatures very bunched together. We'll be paying attention to an upper low on the Pacific Northwest. That's what's going to change our weather here by the time we get to the middle of the week. But the Midwest as a whole right now on this Monday remaining very clear and very pleasant. Temperature is going to make it up into the high 60s. Maybe get lucky and throw a 70 up there with a whole bunch of sunshine for our weather trend. As we progress from Monday into Tuesday, really no worries whatsoever. A little cloud cover wants to move in tonight through tomorrow, but then it backs off to the east really for the afternoon hours. But you can tell things are changing there because we start to get just a little bit turbulent, and that's why we're looking at thunderstorm activity that really kicks in for Thursday, Friday, and takes us into the weekend as well. But really for today and tomorrow, no worries. Don't worry about that rain. That's going to be relatively light and scattered. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Michael. The House is preparing to vote on President Biden's $1.9 trillion COVID relief plan. Senate Democrats passed the mammoth bill Saturday after a marathon session. The package includes $1,400 stimulus checks for individuals making $75,000 or less. Kansas is not considering a tax extension due to COVID this year. Revenue Department officials mentioned it during Friday's online meeting of the Governor's Council on Tax Reform. They also discussed medical marijuana. It is legal in 36 states, and the governor has proposed legalizing it and using the taxes to fund Medicaid expansion. The council learned medical marijuana taxes generated $12 million in Colorado last year. The state made $300 million on recreational form of the drug. 5 Southeast Kansas fire departments came together not because of a fire, but for some important training. The training took place at the Osage Township Fire Department in McCune. It was grain rescue training, something that rural fire departments need to be trained on with the number of grain silos and possible incidents that could occur. Firefighters picked up some basics from instructors with the University of Kansas.
We show them the basics on how to get started. They've already got some of their own equipment, so we're showing them the proper way to use it and all the techniques that they need to know to be able to effectively rescue somebody.
Officials say they hope to bring additional training to the departments in the area for other situations throughout the year. Sunday, the Hideout Harley-Davidson chapter in Joplin held its monthly weekend ride. All of the rides are open to the public. And for this trip, they went all the way to Crystal Bridges in Rogers, Arkansas. Dwayne Wilcox, a member of the local Harley-Davidson chapter, says one of the many reasons he loves being a part of this group is because they love giving back to the community.
This company, we have a lot of fun. We do a lot of riding. We've done a food drive that we started this year, so we're doing that throughout the year for different places in the community. Try to help them out and give back a little bit.
The group also says you don't need to ride a Harley to get in on the fun. The Elks Lodge in Miami held a chili smackdown. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky headed over there to see how the event was made to help the community's youth.
The Elks Lodge in Miami is a community-based organization that runs multiple youth programs. These programs require money, which caused the lodge to brainstorm fundraising ideas. On Sunday, they decided to put together a chili smackdown. This event was organized in as little as 2 weeks.
Prizes, we've got silent auction things. They pounded the pavement. They went business to business getting donations, gift certificates, all that stuff. And like I said, in 2 weeks, they pulled off a huge accomplishment.
The smackdown included 20 different chilies, where event participants got to judge their favorites.
We have a category for the best named chili. We just had a lot of people that really kind of took this on and made it happen.
The money from this event goes towards initiatives for their youth holiday programs.
Towards our children's activity funds for our Easter program, our Halloween program, and our Christmas program. It just goes to whatever we can put back into the community, wherever we can help.
Martin Priest entered a half sausage and half ground beef chili into the mix, but says he cares more about the cause that the event helps rather than winning.
Yeah, it is a competition. I don't really care. It doesn't matter to me whether I win or not, just helping raise money for the lodge. And I was the chair on the Christmas basket committee one year where we give out food, and if the family has children, we give out presents as well. And it's pretty nice to be able to help people out like that.
In addition to the chili, the event also contained a hula hoop contest as well as a pool tournament, ensuring more of the community would show up to support this cause. In Miami, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
Admission for the event was $5, but went to helping the community and giving everyone their all-you-can-eat chili. Warm, dry weather means an increased risk for grass fires across the area, and grass fires can be problematic in the area once the warmer temperatures arrive. Over the weekend, a red flag warning was in place for much of the four-state area, meaning burning conditions are dangerous. We talked with Tony Frazier at the Reddings Mill Fire Protection District about some things you need to know.
The more dead foliage and stuff that you can clear out from around your house and away from your house, the better you are. Generally, we have people, if they want to burn, we ask them to either call a station or call our dispatch. We know what days are good for burning, what days are not good for burning, and that could change in the middle of the day. It could start out as a good burning day, then end up a non-good burning day.
It's 5:07.
Speaking of that red flag warning, Tanya, we're going to bring it back into effect. Now, it's not here right now. Technically, it doesn't pick up until the noon hour, but we are going to have south winds of 15 to 20 miles per hour, and that relative humidity dropping as low as 25%. So just like we heard, the best thing to do is not to burn anything outside. Overnight, increasing cloud cover with that south wind, considering continuing at 15 to 20 miles per hour.
That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, Pitt State baseball faces off against Northeastern State at home on Saturday. We'll have highlights from the game. Plus, there's still no COVID vaccine for children under the age of 16. A look inside the clinical trials, hoping to change that. And how you can commemorate International Women's Day. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Pitt State baseball at home Saturday for a doubleheader against Northeastern State. Game 1, Peyton Ingalls. He goes 3 up, 3 down. Good start for the Gorillas right there. C.D. White at bat in the 4th inning. White singles up the middle. Here comes Chaz Orr. Rounds 30, scores. That brings in a pair of runs for the Riverhawks. Adam Thies, though, has an answer, a big one. What do you do when you're down 3? You tie it up with a 3-run shot. Riverhawks, though, too much with the bats as Pitt State falls 16-8. Game 2 of the doubleheader goes to Northeastern State as well as they beat the Gorillas 3-0. Braden Rodden playing a part in each run scored for the Riverhawks. He finished with 2 hits, 2 runs, and had an RBI. PSU softball back in action. Another doubleheader Sunday. They get a second look at both Minnesota Duluth and Rockhurst. Pitt State faces Duluth in Game 1. The Gorillas fell to the Bulldogs on Saturday 8-3. Jordan Thomas get the highlights started. Wow. Get up in that jet stream right there. Home run for Thomas. She's been dangerous all weekend against the Gorillas. Katie Kukoski at bat now for PSU. Put her in play. Outfielder can't handle it. That's going to score Paxton Hayes. Kelly Swank then for the Bulldogs yanks one out of the park, puts 2 more on the board as Pitt State falls to Minnesota Duluth. Final score 9-2. Game 2 was against Rockhurst. Gorillas aiming to bounce back after the 7-4 loss to the Hawks on Saturday. Starting to make some contact here. Keelan Griffith. Grip that, rip that. PSU takes an early 2-0 lead. Gwen Bostic then, a little fundamental softball, gets a bunt down. Beats the throw to first, but now we add to the Gorilla lead. Madison Szymanski, solo home run. Ball flying all over the place. Gorillas come away with this one, win it 3-1. Crowder baseball finishing out a 4-game series against Colby Community College on Sunday. Rough Riders took both games in Saturday's doubleheader, outscoring the Trojans 27-7 in those 2 games. We'll pick up Sunday action with Jack Stroff, a single that brings in 2 runs for Crowder. And then in the same inning, Logan Chambers, he's gonna go right up the middle. And with Stroff on base, that allows him to come around and score. Trojans now with a ground ball. Get the runner at first, but that does score Brant Biggins. Now in the 6th, Clayton Gray at bat. Drops one in for a 2-run double. Crowder manages to win a close one. Number 7 in the nation takes it. Final score 6-5.
We want to battle test ourselves in February and early March right before we start conference, and we've done just that. We've got quality pitching. Offensively, we sputtered a little bit, but we're starting to pick it up a little. It just hasn't showed up on a consistent basis, but it's starting to, and that's what you want right before you open conference. You know, we talk about winning 2s, winning 2 strikeout bats and winning with 2 outs, and we did just that.
In Game 2, Rough Rider bats got hot. Crowder wins at 16-4. Peyton Holt, 3 hits, 4 runs, 5 RBIs. Crowder sweeps the 4-game series against Colby Community College. Crowder now 12-4 on the season. Crowder softball also hosting a pair of games, doing so against North Central Missouri College on Sunday. Rough Riders come in 13-1 on the year and add 2 more wins to that record. Win Game 1 13-3. Game 2, goose egg, 5-0 shutout. Pittsburgh Dream are state champions, winning 3 games in Wichita over the weekend to claim the 4th grade school state title. Team won the championship game over Salina, 25-23 in overtime. You can check out more on their championship and see the full roster on the sports page at KOAMnewsnow.com. Still to come on the KOAM Morning News, a bombshell of an interview.
Prince Harry and Meghan lift the lid on royal life behind the scenes. I'm Ian Lee with the revelations from Oprah's interview.
And to check on our 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. We are looking at one marvelous start here as we roll weather on the 7th. It's just a minute past 5:17. I want to point out this gorgeous shot of the moon right here. I tried to zoom in a little bit, kind of loses its clarity just with it being so dark and whatnot. But if you have a chance, look out to the southeast right there. It's glowing a marvelous, marvelous orange. And, you know, sooner or later it's going to progress out of our tower cam view there. So I just wanted to point that out while we're still able to take advantage of it. Now, our current conditions in Joplin Regional Airport, 44 degrees. We're going to talk a little bit about the wind. Actually, we're going to talk a lot about the wind and also the humidity. That this is going to increase, this is going to decrease, and going to lead to some actual elevated fire conditions. Our weather almanac on this March 8th. Challenge that record in 1992, 80 degrees. Nah, not quite. Still going to be great, great temperatures outside though. And that's where we stand for our yearly precipitation. Actually, not too far off our normal average right there. 57 would be our average high, and we're going to be able to get about 10 to 13 degrees above that. For the bus stop forecast, we'll roll sunrise at 6:39 for the kids. Clear and sunny start, but it is going to be blustery outside. The wind's going to continue to increase from the south all day long. Clear as can be on the Skywatch Storm Tracker. Even had that cloud cover that was over the Ozarks not but 10 minutes ago, and it's broken up right now. Nothing on the backside of it to be concerned about, but we do have red flag warnings. It's just the perfect combination of number 1, the abnormally warm temperatures, number 2, the increasing wind from the south at 15 to 20 miles per hour, gusting close to 30 to 35 miles per hour, and then our humidity dropping all the way down to about 25%. Now, technically, that red flag warning is not in effect right now. It doesn't kick in until noon, but lasts all the way until 6. And so those that elevated fire conditions, when you get the red flag warning, got to avoid any outdoor burning, just too dangerous, too right conditions, just too right for everything to spread. As even here pre-sunrise, we're picking up wind gusts up to 20 miles per hour, especially in Independence and in Chanute. Now, as we progress through on Monday, there we go. Don't freeze on me. There we go. Temperatures right now ranging anywhere from 44 in Joplin to a slew of 41s through southeast Kansas, including Parsons and Independence. And let's go 42 in Lamar, 43 in Carthage. Our weather maker is up here in the Pacific Northwest. It's going to be a big low pressure system. Haven't really seen it develop as of yet, but that's what's going to start to bring that thunderstorm activity from, say, about Thursday and carry us on into the weekend as well. But right now we got nice high pressure out to the west of us, and so that's going to mean a whole lot of sunshine and warm temperatures. We'll see some places actually get up into the low 70s here later on today. But remember, that wind is going to make it a blustery one. Overnight, very, very mild as we get from Monday night into Tuesday morning. Increasing cloud cover helps us, traps in that heat, of course, but the wind does not want to go anywhere. As far as what we've got on future track, a little cloud development for tonight into Tuesday morning. Temperatures still looking great on Tuesday, back up into the 70s. And now on Wednesday, we start to see a little bit of green pop up. Not widespread, very, very scattered. It's Wednesday night into Thursday when we start to pick up some considerable action that will begin there in the northwestern section of the 4 states as that Pacific Coast low system moves in. But look, once it starts, man, oh man, does it make for a wet middle to end of the week all the way into the weekend. And even though we got 70s on Wednesday and Thursday, we got a little cold front that wants to drop in there just in time for the weekend. Big difference between what we'll feel like on Saturday and Sunday compared to what we'll have in the middle of the week. Time now to turn our attention to the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll, as today is International Women's Day. Every year on March 8th is our chance to celebrate the social, economic, and political achievements of women around the world, but also a day to remember how much work still has to be done to achieve gender equality, something the World Economic Forum says will probably not be reached until the year 2133. That's why the best way to mark today by learning more about what we all can do to make a change. Our question on the KOAM News Now Facebook page: are there any women in your life that you would like to recognize? Already getting some great comments, and feel free to leave those. Or if you've got a picture of that woman in your life you'd like to recognize as well, we'll make sure that we pass that along so everybody gets to acknowledge them. We'll be back with Healthwatch right after this.
Topping Healthwatch this morning. Right now, the 3 COVID-19 vaccines on the U.S. market are for adults. You must be 18 or older to get Moderna and Johnson & Johnson vaccines, and 16 or older for the vaccine made by Pfizer. But clinical trials are underway for younger children. Mandy Gaither has more on when we may see vaccines available for the youngest Americans.
3 COVID-19 vaccines, millions of doses going into the arms of Americans. But these shots are not yet authorized for children.
Right now, we project that the clinical trials will give us information that by the time we get to the fall, that high school students will be able to be vaccinated.
Johnson & Johnson announced its plans to study their vaccine in adolescents, children who have a very low chance of becoming severely ill from COVID-19 were not part of the initial tests in the rapid approval process of the vaccines. The company's CEO says it will begin testing in people ages 12 to 18 and go down from there, and says Johnson & Johnson is likely to have a COVID-19 vaccine available for those under 18 by September. Both Pfizer and Moderna are already undergoing clinical trials studying their vaccines in adolescents. Moderna planning to study the vaccine in children 6 months to 11 years and what it called the near term. Pfizer says it's expecting to start vaccine studies in children ages 5 to 11 in the next couple of months.
Children who are elementary school, 6 to 12, that group of individuals, those individuals likely will not be able to get vaccinated until their trials are finished, which will likely be at the earliest the end of this year.
In a recent letter to the White House, the American Academy of Pediatrics is urging the Biden administration to prioritize vaccine authorization for youth, saying we cannot allow children to be an afterthought when they have shared so much burden throughout this pandemic. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Vaccines are also being studied for use in pregnant women. Last week, Dr. Anthony Fauci said so far no red flags have been seen in pregnant women who have been vaccinated for COVID-19. Data from a new clinical trial will help provide more clarity. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Those temperatures up into the high 60s, low 70s later on today. Whole bunch of sunshine. Remember, red flag warning this afternoon until 6 p.m. Combination of the warm temps, the strong south wind, 15 to 20 miles per hour, and very, very low humidity. And of course, you can always find latest updates on the Skywatch weather app.
An upcoming vote in the House will determine the fate of the $1.9 trillion COVID relief plan. Plus, Kansas Revenue Department officials discuss legalizing medical marijuana, how it could help fund Medicaid expansion, and red flag warnings placed across the 4 states, what you need to know about preventing a major fire.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:30. I'm Tanya Bach. A few more nice days ahead of us. Boy, it was a beautiful weekend. Here's Michael with a first check on your forecast.
As close as I could to that shot of the moon right there, kind of expanded the old autofocus. Doesn't really like it when it's that dark outside, but it is absolutely gorgeous if you have a chance to walk out. There you can see it's trying to focus right there. Walk out, look to your east, southeast, and you're going to find it. And like I said, glowing a nice bright orange right now. 44 degrees is where we stand in Joplin. Biggest threat today is going to be the wind and the low humidity. We've got temperatures in the low to mid 40s right now. Kind of a perfect March start. Sunrise 6:39 for the bus stop forecast. Just make sure that they wear a hat or anything like that. They can get blown away later on today because mid 50s, but 15 to 20 mile an hour winds by 9 o'clock. Very, very clear Midwest. For the next several days, we'll pay attention to low pressure in the Pacific Northwest. Hasn't really developed as of yet. And a beautiful weather trend with a whole lot of sunshine and kicking up into the high 60s, if not a low 70 on the board every now and then. Future track's going to take us with a little cloud cover for tonight into Tuesday, trap in some of that heat. Tuesday back up into the 70s. Wednesday is when we see a little bit begin to develop here. It's very scattered. And then Thursday, that's when we pick up our thunderstorm activity. And then once it starts on Thursday there, going to carry us into the weekend. Temperatures not too bad middle of the week, still able to ride the 70s. But then we've got a cold front that's going to drop just in time for the weekend. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Michael. Warm, dry weather means an increased risk for grass fires across the 4-state area. Red flag warning was in place for much of the 4-state area, meaning there was a possibility for dangerous burning conditions. KOAM spoke with the Reddings Mill Fire Protection District about some things you need to know when it comes to fire prevention.
The more dead foliage and stuff that you can clear out from around your house and away from your house, the better you are. Generally, we have people, if they want to burn, we ask them to either call a station or call our dispatch. We know what days are good for burning, what days are not good for burning, and that could change in the middle of the day. It could start out as a good burning day, then end up a non-good burning day.
If you plan on grilling outside as the weather warms up, be sure to move your grill away from siding, decking, and other things that could catch on fire. Good advice there. House is preparing to vote on President Biden's $1.9 trillion COVID relief plan. Senate Democrats passed the mammoth bill on Saturday after a marathon session. The package includes $1,400 stimulus checks for individuals making $75,000 or less. Kansas is not considering a tax extension due to COVID this year. Revenue Department officials mentioned it during Friday's online meeting of the Governor's Council on Tax Reform. They also discussed medical marijuana. It is legal in 36 states, and the governor has proposed legalizing it and using the taxes to fund Medicaid expansion. The council learned medical marijuana taxes generated $12 million in Colorado last year, but the state made $300 million on recreational forms of the drug. Saturday, Joplin's Empire Market hosted a Goats in the Garden event. KOAM's Bronte Saratsky spoke with a master gardener about why he used his goats to help the public gain an interest in gardening.
Saturday's sunshine meant good conditions to be outside, and even better conditions for gardening. The community gardens at Joplin's Empire Market were open today. Master gardener Eric Osen says the goal of the garden is to make the activity more accessible to anyone.
People learn new things, enjoy gardening, have success gardening.
Originally, Eric was just going to work out in the garden. While he wanted to teach people about the community garden beds, a place where anyone can give planting a go, he worried about attendance.
I had an event in I believe it was November. It was like putting the garden to bed, and we had all sorts of information about soil testing and different things, and I had one person show up.
He wanted to bring more people in and use his goats to draw people into the garden.
You know, anytime you're in a public event, it's handy to have a hook to get people to stop and listen to you for a minute. And so while we're talking about goats, then I have the opportunity to mention the garden.
So he reached out to Joplin's Empire Market and set up the Goats in the Garden event. And to his surprise, drew in a pretty big crowd.
I had no idea it would be this popular.
The goats attracted people like Jan Cortez, a huge animal lover.
Had to come, you can see why. They're just so friendly, like you don't even have to get used to a certain goat, they just pick them up and they're your friend for life.
She says having the goats was a great way to get more people to learn about the community gardens.
Oh, I love it. It's a great draw. All the things they offer in the farmers market, it's just everything about it is just fun. It's a great, easy, free event you can do on Saturdays. Get you out of the house, especially now. It's just a great place to go.
The event drew in people of all ages, and while some may have shown up just for the goats, they walked away with new gardening knowledge. In Joplin, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
Can't get much cuter than that. Osen says due to the goats' popularity, he plans on bringing them back to the market in the future. Well, some Boy Scouts took part in the regional tournament for the Mocan District's Pinewood Derby Saturday in Pittsburgh. The goal, to test the building skills of the Scouts and see if they could create a small wooden race car that could take home a big win. It was also an opportunity for 4 state Scouts to get creative.
I really hope that they express their creativity and have some fun. And then second of all, I hope that they really enjoy that time with their adult. It's a really great experience to spend time doing something that's not playing on a tablet, watching TV, right? It's another opportunity to kind of get to know somebody of a different age.
There were 6 races in total, and they were broadcast live on social media for those who couldn't attend in person. An 18-year-old high school senior has won $25,000 in her first time playing the Kansas lottery. Sloan Stanley decided to try her luck while at work at a grocery store in the city of Meriden, and it paid off big time. She paid $5 for a scratch-off 4 days after she turned 18. A spokeswoman for the Kansas lottery says it's rare for a player to win the top prize on their very first try. Stanley will attend Fort Hays State University in the fall, plans to study elementary school education. She says she'll use the money to take her friends out to a nice dinner and pay for college. She hopes it'll help her graduate without debt. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Prince Harry and his wife Meghan Markle tell in never before seen what it was like living in the royal family in an interview with Oprah, plus a possible new way to screen for coronavirus infections. But first, it's 5:37.
Red flag warning from noon to 6 p.m. Please avoid any outdoor burning today. High winds, low humidity, and abnormally warm temperatures for this time of March as we find ourselves up into the high 60s, low 70s. 7-day forecast continues to feed us warm temperatures until the thunderstorm activity kicks in earnest Wednesday night into Thursday morning. You can tell that's followed by a cold front that's going to drop us down to a chilly, chilly weekend. If you got anything you need to do outdoors Monday and Tuesday, minus burning anything, you need anything outdoors minus burning anything, Monday, Tuesday going to be the best day to do it because it's looking like a chilly, wet weekend. We'll be right back with World Watch right after this.
Topping World Watch, Oprah's bombshell interview with Prince Harry and his wife Meghan is making big waves here in the U.S. and across the pond. CBS's Ian Lee is in London with the highlights.
Oprah's interview with Prince Harry and Meghan was packed with revelations, detailing their royal life and why they gave it up.
If you'd had the support, you'd still be there.
Without question.
Yeah.
I'm sad that what's happened has happened.
While their wedding may have looked like a fairy tale, Meghan said she felt isolated and vulnerable.
I came to understand that not only was I not being protected, but that they were willing to lie to protect other members of the family.
Meghan's blunt answers exposed the intense pressures of royal life.
And I just didn't want to be alive anymore.
So were you thinking of harming yourself? Were you having suicidal thoughts?
Yes. This was very, very clear.
One of the biggest revelations involves the couple's son, Archie, and accusations of racism.
Concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
What? What was that conversation?
That conversation I'm never going to share.
Prince Harry also revealed stepping away from the monarchy damaged his relationship with his father, Prince Charles. At one point, he says, the future king wouldn't take his calls.
There's a lot to work through there. You know, I feel really let down.
The interview did have a lighter side when the royal couple revealed the gender of their unborn child.
It's a girl.
You're gonna have a daughter.
Now in America, this soon-to-be family of 4 says they finally have a chance to live happily ever after.
Buckingham Palace hasn't commented on the 2-hour interview that aired last night on CBS. The first ever papal visit to Iraq continued Sunday. Thousands of faithful gathered inside a stadium in Erbil for an open-air mass led by Pope Francis. Arriving in his signature Pope-mobile, an estimated 10,000 people clapped and cheered for His Holiness. This mass marked the final event during the Pope's historic visit to Iraq as he heads back to Rome this morning. Dog sled racers and dog ski racers gathered in Russia to compete in the 7th annual Bakel race. The 93-mile-long race kicked off on Saturday with 93 teams from various Russian cities competing. The unique race has no checkpoints, giving racers full control over strategy and brake decisions. Fully prepared for the freezing temperatures, participants also packed tents and equipment to help keep them warm. We wish them all the best. An endangered turtle release took place in India. Officials released 131 turtle hatchlings into the sea on Friday. A couple of months prior, Forest Department patrollers collected 135 eggs on the beach. They cared for them in a hatchery for more than 50 days before releasing them. Cute little guys. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. Let's toss it over to Michael for our Something to Talk About.
Thank you, Tanya. This morning on the KOAM News Now Facebook page, International Women's Day. Every year on March 8th, a chance to celebrate the social, economic, and political achievements of women around the world, and a day to remember how much work still has to be done to achieve gender equality. Excuse me. Our question, are there any women in your life you would like to recognize? We'll begin with Quinn Tsai, who says it's been a hectic period of the pandemic. Living on a paycheck isn't a choice till I stumble upon Mrs. Immaculata Amparo. Okay, that's a good one. Roy Mercer, how big a boy are you? My wife Sharon Jean, my daughter Letitia, for starters. That's awesome, Roy, thank you. Rick Norton, his beautiful wife Carolyn. Had the opportunity to meet Miss Carolyn. She is awesome. Guy Hansen, I can think of some I wouldn't. Okay, Guy, we're trying to keep it positive. Rocky Cunningham says, I'm very blessed and very fortunate to have my Aunt Pat. And of course, every morning, Rocky gives a shout out and a love you to Aunt Pat. Rocky says, I'm still trying to nominate her for sainthood and my better half, Destiny. They both make the world a better place. And of course, Rocky finishing with the traditional, love you, Aunt Pat. I got time for one more here. Let's scroll up. Who's this little one? This is Michelle Pacini with Good Morning KOAM and Mama. Good morning, Michelle. My mama for starters, and the beautiful stepdaughter, Shailene Kathleen Fortin, and our beautiful daughter-in-law, Amanda. Both are amazing, strong, and compassionate parents and wonderful adults. So proud of them. Our Christmas baby at 2 months. I remember when she was born. Man, she's getting big now, isn't she, Michelle? Keep those pictures and comments coming in. We'll continue to roll them throughout the show. We'll be back with the news you need to know before you head out the door, right?
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. The House is preparing to vote on President Biden's $1.9 trillion COVID relief plan. Senate Democrats passed the mammoth bill on Saturday after a marathon session. The package includes $1,400 stimulus checks for individuals making $75,000 or less. Kansas is not considering a tax extension due to COVID this year. Revenue Department officials mentioned it during Friday's online meeting of the Governor's Council on Tax Reform. They also discussed medical marijuana. It is legal in 36 states. The governor has proposed legalizing it and using the taxes to fund Medicaid expansion. The council learned medical marijuana taxes generated $12 million in Colorado last year. The state made $300 million on recreational forms of the drug. 5 Southeast Kansas fire departments came together not because of a fire, but for some important training. The training took place at the Osage Township Fire Department in McCune. It was grain rescue training, something that rural fire departments need to be trained on with the number of grain silos and possible incidents that could occur. Firefighters picked up some basics from instructors with the University of Kansas. Warm, dry weather means an increased risk for grass fires across the area. Grass fires can be problematic in the area once the warmer temperatures arrive. Red flag warning was in place for much of the 4-state area, meaning burning conditions are dangerous. And if you plan on grilling outside as the weather warms up, be sure to move the grill away from siding, decking, and other things that can catch on fire. And that's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Red flag warning in effect. That means no outdoor burning, please, because we're going to have very strong winds coming in from the south, gusting close to 35 miles per hour, and also too very, very low humidity today. It actually doesn't kick in until noon and lasts until 6 p.m., but it's never too early to start talking about it. Fresh air forecast today. Plenty of sunshine, temperatures above average. We'll roll high 60s, even throw some low 70s in there by the time we get into Monday afternoon. A little cloud cover develops overnight, keeps the temperatures very mild. Thunderstorm activity begins to kick in earnest on Thursday, and it's followed by a cold front that takes us into what's going to be a chilly, wet weekend. And of course, you can always find the latest on the Skywatch weather app.
A Dutch inventor is testing a possible new way to screen for coronavirus infections, and it's creating a bit of an uproar. CBS's Tina Kraus explains from London.
The unpleasant nature of a COVID test is enough to make some people flinch. Others can't help but scream. A method being trialed in the Netherlands requires people to let out a shout or a song inside an airlocked cabin to give inventor Peter Van Wees enough potential germs to test for COVID-19.
If you are spreading and yelling and screaming, you're spreading tens of thousands of particles which contains the coronavirus.
An industrial air purifier creates a whirlwind in the booth and collects particles to be analyzed.
If someone is infectious with the coronavirus, the numbers of that specific diameter will go way up.
3 minutes after he hollered, Ismail James got some good news. He's told it's not COVID, just a cold.
It's always very nice to scream when nobody can hear you, though. And yeah, I think it's a good way of meditation as well.
The ear-piercing technique is still being perfected. Until then, all that crying out can be used as COVID therapy. Tina Kraus, CBS News.
The creator of Cuba, the virus protector, hopes the machine could one day be used as a potential screening tool at concerts, airports, and offices.
Concerts make sense. We don't want people screaming in the airport or the office.
Sometimes the lines at the airports make you want to scream.
I've seen people get a little testy. Never in our newsroom, though.
No.
A little piece of heaven on earth right there. Facebook page. I'm fighting Facebook this morning, folks. I apologize. So I'm trying to get stuff posted. Get on the phone with Mr. Zuckerberg and take care of this. Anyway, if that morning routine takes you to the book, you can go to Michael Hayslip, KOAM. This morning, our first post is about our red flag warnings, and then we'll have our daily forecast that is the same you find on the Skywatch weather app. You can run on over to KOAM News Now. There's something to talk about this morning, International Women's Day. Asking if there are any women in your life you'd like to recognize. John Trebian says, my wonderful wife, Lindsay. John says she is a wonderful woman and a wonderful mother. Good morning, KOM. Good morning, America. And good morning, John. Mike Dalton. Hey, Mike, what's up, man? Mike says, my wonderful wife, Mary Dalton. She does so much for our family, goes above and beyond every day, and then some. Don't know what we would do without her. Love you, baby. And Michael Arrowwood, Michael Arrowwood says, I am blessed as well. I have my mother and my girlfriend and her daughters. Hi, Aunt Pat. and Pat, from all of us at KOAM, a hi as well. I don't know if that's the same Aunt Pat that Rocky has. Might be. I don't know. All right. We'll be back, update that red flag warning. Let's step through our thunderstorm activity middle of the week right after this. So the red flag warnings begin at noon today, but not too early to start talking about them. Very low humidity, very strong south wind. Sound like a broken record here by the time it's all said and done, but no outdoor burning. All right, so let's get into the middle of the week here. Temperature is going to be great today, high 60s, low 70s. Cloud cover develops there overnight into Tuesday. That helps us trap in the heat. And Tuesday, still up, we're talking about high 60s, low 70s once again. Wednesday. All right, so Wednesday morning, that's when we get a little light scattered rain. Not looking too bad right there. But now, we got that low pressure system that develops. Here, watch this. Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Yeah, then we're starting to pick up activity. And what that will result in is, number one, thunderstorm activity for the latter half of the week and a cold front taking us down what's going to be a chilly, wet weekend.
An upcoming vote in the House will determine the fate of the $1.9 trillion COVID relief plan. Plus, Kansas Revenue Department officials discuss legalizing medical marijuana, how it could help fund Medicaid expansion, and red flag warnings placed across the 4 states, what you need to know about preventing a major fire.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. We have a few more nice days ahead of us before rain could be headed our way again. Here's Michael with a check of your forecast.
Before we get to the rain, you want to talk about a gorgeous Monday in March that we're going to have. Skies beginning to lighten over the horizon. Still got a great shot of the moon right there. It had a nice brilliant orange hue to it earlier. If you want to get out and check it out, a little southeasterly gaze is where you want to go. As far as what we're seeing here at the mothership at Joplin Regional Airport as well, 43 degrees. Do have just a tad bit of a wind chill in effect. Humidity already down to 58%. It's going to be extremely dangerously dry. Clear on the Skywatch storm tracker. Red flag warnings. Combination of the humidity, the high wind, and a little abnormal warmth. We stand at 41 in Pittsburgh, 39 in Welch, and 41 in Nevada. Sunrise at 6:39 for the bus stop forecast. So we're getting ever so close. South wind 10 to 15 by 9, 15 to 20 later on, gusting 30 to 35 miles per hour. Big high pressure over the Midwest. We're going to wait on the Pacific Northwest there to eventually have a low pressure system make its way inland and then head toward us. But for the next 2 days, we're looking absolutely great. Temperatures today, high 60s, low 70s. Now, we get some cloud cover from Monday night into Tuesday, trap some of that heat into there. And Tuesday is going to be nice and warm as well, similar in nature to what we have today. Wednesday, we start to see a little green pop up on the map every now and then, scattered showers. But then Wednesday night into Thursday, that's when we begin to pick up our action as everything develops from the northwest and pushes across to the east. It's, like I said, that's going to be that right there. Look at it. Just keeps on headed our way. Now, for the 7-day forecast, like I said, 2 days where you can't beat it. And then once this kicks in, cold front on the backside of it makes for a wet end of the week and a chilly weekend. Outdoor plans minus burning, please, with that red flag warning. If you got anything you want to do outdoors, really next 48 hours, time to get it done.
All right, you've been warned. All right, the House is preparing to vote on President Biden's $1.9 trillion COVID relief plan. Senate Democrats passed the mammoth bill on Saturday after a marathon session. The package includes $1,400 stimulus checks for individuals making $75,000 or less. Kansas is not considering a tax extension due to COVID this year. Revenue Department officials mentioned it during Friday's online meeting of the Governor's Council on Tax Reform. They also discussed medical marijuana. It is legal in 36 states. The governor has proposed legalizing it and using the taxes to fund Medicaid expansion. Council learned medical marijuana taxes generated $12 million in Colorado last year, but the state made $300 million on the recreational form of the drug. Firefighters in southeast Kansas got a unique opportunity to take part in some hands-on rescue training. KOAM's Chris Warner checked it out.
Volunteer firefighters pumping grain out of a silo to rescue a person trapped inside. Thankfully, in this situation, it's all simulated. Special training from the University of Kansas for 5 rural Southeast Kansas fire departments.
We show them the basics on how to get started. They've already got some of their own equipment, so we're showing them the proper way to use it and all the techniques that they need to know to be able to effectively rescue somebody.
The training took place at the Osage Township Fire Department in McCune. Treasurer Sherry Schenker says thanks to a donation from the local co-op and others, Osage Township has its own grain rescue equipment.
When you're involved in an entrapment situation, minutes count, seconds count. And if you're having to go to another department that's miles away and get equipment or track someone down that might already own equipment, you could potentially be looking at a recovery rather than a rescue.
Instructor Bill Doan is a retired firefighter who spent 45 years saving lives. He says in his experience, the majority of calls are from farmers.
Most of the calls, if it's a grain rescue, it is at the local farmers. It's not at the co-op, because they're the ones that store grain on their own property, and sometimes they forget about what they're supposed to do or not to do, and so they put themselves in harm's way.
Schenker says it's only a matter of time before they'll need to use the techniques.
When you're in rural Kansas and you are in a heavy agriculture area like we are, it's not a matter of if a rescue is going to be needed at some point, it's a when. And we need to know the techniques so we can appropriately respond.
In McCune, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Schenker says she hopes to bring additional training to the departments in the area for other situations throughout the year. Republican committees of Jasper and Newton County held their Joplin Lincoln Day Saturday at the Butcher's Block Event Center. The event is meant for people in the area to connect with elected officials to discuss needs of the community. They were unable to host the event last year due to COVID-19, and this year decided on a smaller venue due to virus concerns. Officials say the event serves as an important fundraiser.
Basically a big fundraiser. A portion of the dinner tonight, it helps each county with the things we need to do for whether it be pamphlets or mailers or to help fund.
Tickets for the event started at $45. Both Newton and Jasper County split the profit to fund their organization's needs. Berry County officials urge residents to register for COVID-19 vaccinations immediately. There is a mass vaccine clinic scheduled for Tuesday, March 9th in Monette. That is tomorrow. However, that clinic is in danger of being canceled because they don't have enough people registered. Officials with the Health Department and Office of Emergency Management say they currently have fewer than 100 people signed up. That was over this weekend for the nearly 1,000 available vaccines. To register online for the Monette COVID-19 clinic, you can go to covidvaccine.mo.gov/navigator or simply call the number there on your screen, 877-435-8411. Warm, dry weather means an increased risk for grass fires across the area. Grass fires can be problematic in the area once the warmer temperatures arrive. A red flag warning was in place for much of the 4-state area over the weekend, meaning burning conditions are dangerous. And we talked with Tony Frazier at the Reddings Mill Fire Protection District about some things you need to know.
The more dead foliage and stuff that you can clear out from around your house and away from your house, the better you are. Generally, we have people, if they want to burn, we ask them to either call a station or call our dispatch. We know what days are good for burning, what days are not good for burning, and that could change in the middle of the day. It could start out as a good burning day, then end up a non-good burning day.
6:07.
And to give you an idea of the red flag warnings we have for this Monday, encompassing the entire 4 states, officially beginning at noon, lasting until 6 o'clock. We can go ahead and talk about them now, though. Temperatures today with sunny skies up into the high 60s, low 70s, transitioning overnight with some cloud cover, traps in a little bit of the warmth. And then as we work through the 7-day forecast, temperatures just about the same as yesterday. Or tomorrow, temperature's just about the same as Monday. I think it just went into a time warp right there. Overnight lows very, very comfortable. Let's go ahead and jaunt from Wednesday into Thursday. Wednesday night, thunderstorm development takes us into Thursday and what's going to be a wet latter half of the week. You'll also notice, too, we got a cold front on the backside of it, and we'll go from daily highs in the 70s down to the high 40s, low 50s there for Sunday. Speaking of Saturday into Sunday, oh, goodbye hour of sleep. Let's bring those clocks forward. All the latest for you on the Skywatch weather app.
All right, let's look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, a recovery on the horizon.
A better than expected report on the job market could be a sign the economy is ready to recover from the coronavirus. I'm Naomi Ruckham with a look inside the numbers.
Plus, this week marks 1 year since the coronavirus pandemic was declared. Why Dr. Anthony Fauci says last year was the worst case scenario. And we hear from the mayor of Parsons on what comes next for the city as it celebrates its 150th birthday. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. In Money Watch this morning, Americans are going back to work as the economy starts to rev up after a year of the pandemic. Naomi Ruckham reports.
Chris Dickerson has something new at his San Francisco bar: customers.
I've been looking forward to this day for quite a while. It's been 351 days since I've poured a drink and had a sale.
The pandemic shut him down for almost a year, but now he's open again with indoor dining allowed. COVID restrictions are being relaxed across the country, leading to more business and the need for more workers. In February, the U.S. economy added a better than expected 379,000 jobs. The unemployment rate fell from 6.3% to 6.2%. 12 months ago, the unemployment rate hit a 50-year low of 3.5%. When the pandemic shutdown started, job losses skyrocketed. The rate then slowly dropped over the course of the year.
We have 9.5 million fewer jobs than we had a year ago.
But CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger says there are signs the economy and job market are ready for a resurgence. It's estimated Americans saved more than $1.5 trillion during the pandemic. At the same time, Congress is negotiating a new round of unemployment benefits and stimulus checks. The money would come as vaccinations increase, COVID cases go down, and people get back to their old spending habits.
People spend money. Companies then need more help. They need to hire more people. More people have jobs.
Businesses are preparing for an increase in customers. Some budget airlines are looking to hire more pilots, believing Americans are ready to make travel plans and boost an industry struggling since the pandemic began. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News, New York.
One of America's most influential first ladies becomes a figurine to mark International Women's Day. The Mattel toy company released Eleanor Roosevelt as a figure in its doll series. Wow. In order to mark her lifetime achievements for International Women's Day, Roosevelt joins the Inspiring Women toy lineup to help fund the Dream Gap project to address classroom, racial, and inequality biases. Mattel notes Eleanor Roosevelt's championing of civil and economic rights and for her dedication to humanitarian efforts. International Women's Day is today. That'd be a doll to collect. That's it for Money Watch. We'll be right back.
6:17 on this Monday morning, and what a gorgeous, gorgeous morning it is, as we're going to have brilliant colors there over the horizon. Still got a great shot of the moon, lost its beautiful orange hue that it had earlier, but still glowing very, very brightly. If you're interested, just step outside, look to the south, southeast, and you can't miss it, as clear as our skies are right now. 43 degrees is where we stand. Humidity holding steady at 58%, but it's going to play a major factor in our afternoon weather. Our weather almanac on March 8th with an average high of 57. We're going to easily surpass that, as a matter of fact, up into the 50s by the 9 o'clock hour. On the bus stop forecast, the wind continuing to increase as well. So when we factor in the strong south wind combined with the very low afternoon humidity, no surprise we have red flag warnings. Remember, that means that conditions are right for fires to spread. Best to avoid any outdoor burning. Officially, these don't start until noon, but last all the way till 6, and I just wanted to bring it up already. Gusting, it's not too bad when you walk outside right now. That wind's not going to blow you over as of yet. However, this afternoon has got a chance to. We'll see some gusts of 30 to 35 miles per hour. Temperatures ranging from low 40s to mid 40s. High pressure system hanging over us, going to give us brilliant blue skies for the rest of the day. And let's talk about what we've got middle of the week. Tonight into tomorrow, cloud cover arrives. Tuesday, temperatures similar to what we'll have today. Wednesday, scattered rain begins. Wednesday night, Thursday, that's when we start picking up the action out to the northwest. And that's going to result in what's going to be a wet latter half of the week and take us into a weekend with additional rainfall and a cold front. It's going to be a whole lot chillier than what we experienced middle of the week. Now, over to Jesse in Studio K.
Well, when you celebrate a 150th birthday, it definitely deserves a mention. And this morning we are joined by the mayor of Parsons, Tom Shaw, who is helping us learn more about 150 years of the city of Parsons, because Parsons is celebrating its birthday. Mayor Shaw, thanks for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
So I first want to ask you about where Parsons has come from. You know, people are familiar with the story of how Eli Parsons is the namesake and that it has a strong railroad history. But I mean, what is Parsons from a cultural standpoint? What is that rooted in, and how has it evolved?
Well, like you said, it was and it still is a railroad town. But then all the commerce and the farming and industry that built up around the railroad, that's it. The families that came here, attracted by the jobs and a better future, you know, that's what people were looking for then and still looking for today, I think. One really interesting thing about Parsons is shortly after its founding, history tells us that there was a large group of African Americans that came here to get away from, you know, the history of slavery and came here looking for a better life. So Parsons has a long history, almost back to the very beginning of 1871, of being a really diverse community too.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that, because I do think that Parsons is, you know, just as much known for its diversity in industry and race and just cultural background. I mean, what does that do for a town like Parsons to be able to have so many different heritages, you know, rooted in one place?
Well, you know, it's kind of a neat thing, because it does give you an opportunity to be more comfortable with people who are a little different than yourself, you know, so we don't always see people as the other, but we kind of see each other as you know, we're all in this together. So it does help to develop a sense of community, but, you know, there's always the struggles that come with that too, and, you know, fairness and inclusion, and those issues are always out there, and you just keep trying to work on them and do better tomorrow than you did yesterday.
Well, I know that Parsons is going to be celebrating 150 years all year long, so we're going to have the full schedule of events on our website. But Mayor Shaw, thank you so much for celebrating with us, and we really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us as well.
Well, you bet, and thank you.
Thanks
a lot.
Absolutely, yeah. Hey, we'll have that on our morning show page. We're going to have all of that on our morning show page at KOAMnewsnow.com, and we'll be right back on the KOAM Morning News after this.
Topping Healthwatch this morning. This week marks 1 year since the World Health Organization declared the coronavirus pandemic. It's been a year for health officials and healthcare workers of learning as we go. CBS News Chief Medical Correspondent Dr. John LaPook sat down with Dr. Anthony Fauci to discuss where we've been and where we're headed.
In 2016, when I interviewed you for 60 Minutes, I said, what keeps you up at night? And you described this year.
My worst case scenario is to have a combination of factors that would lead to a historic pandemic. And unfortunately for us and the world, that's exactly what happened.
Dr. Anthony Fauci says 1 year ago, he wishes we had known just how capable the novel coronavirus was of spreading so easily.
That is really a game changer for an outbreak. It would be so unusual to have a respiratory disease of this magnitude in which such a large percentage is driven by people who have no symptoms.
Nearly 30 million have been infected in the U.S. More than 500,000 have died. And while we now have several vaccines that are extremely effective, the virus is changing, with the variant that originated in the UK, 117, spreading rapidly. We have the appearance of all of these variants of concern.
It's kind of a bit of a race of getting as many people vaccinated as you possibly can with these variants which are assuming dominance. The news that's somewhat encouraging is that the vaccines that are being distributed currently in the United States, particularly the mRNA vaccines, do pretty well against that 117.
Dr. Fauci says the best way to stop variants from developing is to stop the virus from spreading, and he's worried about relaxing restrictions prematurely. You look at a state like Texas that has opened it up for all intents and purposes. When you see that, what's your reaction?
It's dismay. It's ill-advised. What you really want to do is get the baseline very far down and then gradually pull back on the public health measures. But to just turn it on like a light switch and turn it off like a light switch is very risky.
Looking ahead, what do you see the big challenges are?
You really want to get the overwhelming majority of people vaccinated, not only for their own health and their own safety, that of their families, but the fact that they will then be contributing to this overall effect of what we refer to as herd immunity.
Dr. Fauci says the public must avoid being lulled into a false sense of security.
We want to make sure we don't generate another surge, which is the reason why it's no time now to pull back on some of the public health measures.
Lessons learned this past year that will follow us into the future. There will be another pandemic, right?
There's no doubt about it. Can't say when or where or how, but if history tells us the truth, which it does all the time, this will happen again.
Dr. John LaPook, CBS News.
Dr. Fauci also tells us stepping up to do more sequencing of the variants to better understand how and where the variants are occurring. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
To the fresh air forecast we go. Going to be an absolutely delightful Monday with temperatures are going to be up in the high 60s, low 70s. Now remember, look at that bottom panel right there. We do have a red flag warning. That's because our south wind, already 10 to 15 miles per hour, going to pick up about 15 to 20, gusting close to 30 or 35. And very, very low humidity. We're going to drop down to about 25%. That's dangerously dry when we talk about conditions for wildfires to spread. Similar tomorrow, and then thunderstorm activity kicks in on Thursday.
An upcoming vote in the House will determine the fate of the $1.9 trillion COVID relief plan. Plus, Kansas Revenue Department officials discuss legalizing medical marijuana, how it could help fund Medicaid expansion, and red flag warnings placed across the 4 states. What you need to know about preventing a major fire.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6:30. I'm Tanya Bach. We have a few more pleasant days ahead of us before rain could be headed our way. Here's Michael with a check on your forecast.
Yeah, easily another 2.5 days, Tanya, before we have to worry about it. Gorgeous, gorgeous Monday start. It's just about time to say good night, moon. If you want one last glimpse of it, I'd go ahead and grab it now before she disappears. Now, as far as what we're looking at with current conditions, 43 degrees, not a whole lot of movement, whether it be the temperature or the humidity, and the humidity going to play a key factor for our Monday weather. Beautiful looking Skywatch storm tracker. Speaking of humidity, combo that with the wind, and we've got a red flag warning. That means conditions ripe for wildfires to spread, because on top of the low humidity, we're going to have nice warm temperatures, sitting low 40s, high 30s right now. And we're going to have dangerously low humidity later. Already up into the 50s there by the time we get to the 9 a.m. hour. Our Skywatch storm tracker has a beautiful Midwest. Our late week system is going to work in off the Pacific Northwest, make its way to the southeast toward us. But before we get there, whole bunch of Monday morning, Monday afternoon, early Monday evening, sunshine. It's going to be absolutely delightful. Let's go ahead and talk future track. Cloud development late tonight into Tuesday helps us trap some of that heat. Gives us a nice warm Tuesday as well. Wednesday's when we get a little scattered rain that wants to pop up. Not widespread or anything. Now Wednesday night into Thursday, that's when we begin some legitimate action, and what that's going to do is result in thunderstorm activity for not only Thursday but Friday as well, and the cold front then kicking in and taking us from a high of 70 middle of the week all the way down to the 50s by the time we get to Sunday. Tanya?
All right, warm, dry weather means an increased risk for grass fires across the four-state area. A red flag warning in place for much of the four-state area, meaning there was a possibility for dangerous burning conditions. KOAM spoke with the Reddings Mill Fire Protection District about a few things you need to know when it comes to fire prevention.
The more dead foliage and stuff that you can clear out from around your house and away from your house, the better you are. Generally, we have people, if they want to burn, we ask them to either call a station or call our dispatch. We know what days are good for burning, what days are not good for burning, and that could change in the middle of the day. It could start out as a good burning day, then end up a non-good burning day.
If you plan on grilling outside as the weather warms up, be sure to move the grill away from siding, decking, and other things that can catch on fire. Much awaited COVID relief bill could be a done deal as early as Tuesday, with direct payments potentially being sent to people as early as next week. This as more states are loosening COVID restrictions. CBS's Deborah Alfarone reports health experts are warning Americans not to let up on masks and social distancing.
Bill as amended is passed. It obviously wasn't easy. It wasn't always pretty, but it was so desperately needed.
The Senate pushed through President Biden's nearly $2 trillion COVID relief bill this weekend by the thinnest of margins. There was no GOP support.
This was a liberal wish list of liberal spending.
It now goes to the House, then the president's desk for signing, both of which could happen as early as tomorrow.
One of the hallmarks of this bill is its promise to send $1,400 stimulus checks to about 85% of people across the country. Once the bill's signed, the IRS says they could start delivering those checks within days to a week.
On the COVID front, new reported infections and deaths continue to fall this weekend. Still, experts fear a potential fourth surge. They say variants are spreading and new infections are starting to level off nationwide.
Plateauing at a level of 60 to 70,000 new cases per day is not an acceptable level. That is really very high.
Dr. Anthony Fauci recommends people continue to wear masks. Despite this, in Idaho, people burned them at the state capitol.
Destroy them!
It's one of more than a dozen states without a mask mandate or with their mandate lifting this week. In Colorado, where the governor just extended its mandate, hundreds of students partied on.
All done.
Fewer than 10% of Americans have been fully vaccinated, with hard-hit minority communities still lagging behind. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, Washington.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is expected this week to issue guidance on how vaccinated Americans can best move forward with restrictions adopted to slow its spread. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly proclaimed Sunday the one-year anniversary of the first recorded case of the COVID in the state as COVID Memorial Day to honor those who have died due to COVID-19. Kansas is not considering a tax extension due to COVID this year. Revenue Department officials mentioned it during Friday's online meeting of the Governor's Council on Tax Reform. They also discussed medical marijuana. It is legal in 36 states, and the governor has proposed legalizing it and using the taxes to fund Medicaid expansion. The council learned medical marijuana taxes generated $12 million in Colorado last year, but the state made $300 million on the recreational form of the drug. That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News, a trial of a former police officer.
Barricades and barbed wire surround this courthouse as the trial begins for the officer accused of killing George Floyd. I'm Michael George in Minneapolis with how the city is preparing for protest.
Plus, for our Something to Talk About on the KOAM News Now Facebook page, it is International Women's Day, and we're asking, are there any women in your life who you would like to recognize? But first, it's 6:37.
3 minutes away from sunrise over Joplin. We'll call it 6:39, and the sunshine's going to take us up into the 60s by the noon hour. Top out, high 60s, low 70s. Red flag warning because of strong south wind and low humidity. Nation Watch is next.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, the city of Minneapolis is on edge as the trial of former police officer Derek Chauvin begins. Chauvin kneeled on George Floyd's neck for several minutes before Floyd died, which sparked weeks of nationwide protest. CBS's Michael George is outside the courthouse with more on what could be a landmark trial for policing and racial justice.
The trial of Derek Chauvin is slated to begin today with jury selection.
I can't breathe.
Last May, the former Minneapolis police officer pressed his knee on the neck of George Floyd for more than 8 minutes. Chauvin is charged with second-degree murder and manslaughter for Floyd's death. Today, a judge will consider adding a third-degree murder charge that could delay the trial.
Proving a third-degree murder is easier than proving a second-degree unintentional felony murder. Third degree is basically extreme indifference to someone else's life.
Chauvin is expected to argue Floyd died from health issues and a drug overdose. Mark Calzaretta is a jury consultant.
Trying to weed out people that don't have prior knowledge or feelings about this case, and I think that's just going to be really, really difficult.
The courthouse is on lockdown, surrounded by barricades and barbed wire, in anticipation of large crowds throughout the trial. In the first days after Floyd's death, protests were marred by violence and destruction. Those protests eventually gave way to peaceful demonstrations nationwide calling for police reform.
I am nervous.
Kennedy Pounds marched outside the courthouse yesterday.
Marching today was kind of freeing because I've just been holding a lot of this anxiety and stress surrounding the trial and everything in.
The trial for the 3 other officers implicated in Floyd's death is scheduled for August. Michael George, CBS News, Minneapolis.
Chauvin's trial could last into May. Embattled New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is pushing back on growing calls to step down. The leader of the state Senate said Cuomo should resign for the good of the state. The governor, now facing multiple allegations of inappropriate behavior with former female staffers and others, says he was elected by the people, not politicians. As tensions continues to rise with Iran, the Pentagon is expected to position more American troops in the vicinity. Defense officials say the aircraft carrier USS Dwight D. Eisenhower could be headed to the Middle East. Early last month, the USS Nimitz left the region. Since then, a rocket attack hit an airbase in Iraq where U.S. and coalition forces are housed. Although the Biden administration has not attributed blame for the attack on any specific group, they do hold Iran as responsible for attacks in the region. The decision to send the Eisenhower has not been finalized. In a highly anticipated 2-hour interview with Oprah Winfrey on CBS, Prince Harry and his wife Meghan Markle spoke about some of the difficulties that led them to step away from the royal family. Markle said when she wanted to seek help for suicidal thoughts, she was dissuaded because of how it would reflect on the royal family. She also says the royal family had concerns about how dark her son Archie would be. The couple also revealed they are expecting a girl. That's a look at today's top national stories. Let's check back in with Michael for our Something to Talk About.
Thank you, Tanya. This morning on the KOAM News Now Facebook page, celebrating International Women's Day. Every year, March 8th, the chance to celebrate the social, economic, and political achievements of women around the world. And our question to you, any women in your life you would like to recognize? Colleen McGuire, she went above and beyond to list the number of women friends who have given her strength, a listening ear, comfort, and good laughs. She also talks about all 5 of her daughters. She calls them beautiful blessings to me. And she also posted a picture of her mom. This is my fierce mom, who's 79, still working, retired last April, then came out of retirement when her company was short-staffed due to COVID. She retires again in 2 weeks. She's my rock, comfort, cheerleader, and the best mom ever. Can't wait to see her. Colleen, thank you so much for that. And Dave Sorek, he posted a picture of his late mother, whom we lost last month. Dave, our thoughts with you there, and thank you for telling us, though, how much she meant to you. Colleen McGuire also wanted to point out all the women who work at Lakeside Elementary. They're fierce in their dedication to the kiddos and to the staff. I want to thank everybody for their engagement. We'll try to roll some more pictures and comments here before we wrap up, but we got to come back and celebrate birthdays and anniversaries right after this.
We take this time to honor today's 4th-state hero, Technical Sergeant Nathan Taylor, who was a member of the United States Air Force. He served from 2008 to 2010 in Iraq and in Afghanistan. His hometown, Uniontown, Kansas. We are proud to salute Nathan Taylor, our 4th-state hero.
Kicking us off today on our birthday list is John Hadley, Hadley John. She's 2. as evident by the wonderful banner behind her. What a great looking picture right there. Miss Hadley, you have a great day in Thayer. Maybe Hadley will take me to Big Ed.
Maybe so. Gunner Northcat. Oh, little cowboy there in Mapleton, Kansas. Happy birthday from Mom, Dad, and Lane. Gunner is now 3 years old.
Good looking hat there, Gunner. I like that. Braden Smithson, he kicks off a long list of birthdays in Pittsburgh. Braden, cool looking mask, my man. He's the big number 4.
If he's 4, that means his sister Aubrey is turning 2 years old. Ha, what a cutie there. Aubrey celebrating in Pittsburgh as well.
Nicholas Smith Jr., he is celebrating his 6th birthday. Nicholas, I want you to have a marvelous day, kiddo. He's in the Berg as well.
All right. In Walnut, Kansas, Marshall Kraft turning 6 years old. Ooh, what a catch there.
Here's the thing, he ain't even cheating that by holding it forward. He's just trying to hold the darn thing.
Big one there. Love Mommy and Daddy.
Great catch there, Marshall. I'm jealous now. Tessa J, happy 7th birthday, smiling as can be. Tessa, she's celebrating in Chanute.
All right, Addison Avery celebrating birthday number 8 this year in Girard. Happy birthday, Addison.
On to the double digits because Joseph Powell, he is now celebrating his 10th birthday. Got a wrestler on our hands right there, medal and all. A happy 10th to Joseph in Girard.
All right, Leighton Johnson celebrating birthday number 12.
Oh, nice.
Leighton is in Fort Scott.
Nice one, Leighton. Brandon Bishop celebrating a 15th birthday. Brandon, have a marvelous day and a great birthday.
All right, and Vi Tupa turning 61 this year in Jasper, Missouri. Happy birthday, Vi.
Ms. Vi, long time no see. Happy birthday. Know her from a previous work life. Ron Craig, a happy 66th birthday. Mr. Craig, he is in Carl Junction.
Felly Sachs celebrating birthday number 73 this year in Joplin.
That's a cool picture right there. I like that. Dale Gauthier, little turn back the clock action. Love that.
High socks and short shorts.
First baseman Hart right there. Dale, he's celebrating in Fort Scott. Look at that glove. That glove is bigger than his head, isn't it? That's great.
Oh, big hat too. Love it. That was a cute picture. Oh, great. And our list goes on with Jesse Kinzer. Got your arms full there. Jesse is in Carthage. Belated birthday wish from last Friday.
Dorothy Wall, a happy birthday to you in Columbus. Dorothy No, she's celebrating a birthday. That Dorothy's in Farmington. And Denise Richard, a happy 44th birthday. Miss Denise, celebrating in Arma.
Dalton Schoonover celebrating birthday number 29 this year in Rogers, Arkansas. And
Mona Brumbaugh.
Yeah.
Love you, Mona. That's another long time no see. Now, for those of you that don't know, Dalton happens to be Mona's son. And so we wanted to catch up on both of those. And Mona, a very happy birthday. Hope I'll run into you here sometime soon. She is in Weir. Happy birthday, happy anniversary to all. Over to Tanya Bach with a very important birthday announcement.
That's right. You can be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club by going to our website and signing up. And once you do, you'll get special deals from local businesses. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club today.
Let's celebrate these birthdays and anniversaries with a gorgeous, gorgeous Monday morning sunrise over Television City, where we sit at a pretty comfortable 43 degrees right now. Two factors we're going to be looking at throughout the course of the day. Number one, our winds, as we've already got some gusts of 20 miles per hour. And so when you combine the wind with the low humidity, guess what? Red flag warnings. That means conditions ripe for wildfires to spread quickly. Best thing to do is not to burn outside today. Our temperatures ranging from high 30s to mid 40s. And the wind really hasn't picked up yet, but wait until about 9, 10 o'clock. Then it's really going to begin to blow in. But at the same point in time, we're all going to be safe and make sure that we prevent those wildfires, and our temperatures going to cruise up into the high 60s and low 70s later on this afternoon. We do have thunderstorm activity, but it's not going to pick up until Wednesday evening into Thursday. Now, once it begins on Thursday, it gets a little widespread for the latter half of the week, and a cold front that's going to drop us down into the 50s for both Saturday and Sunday. We'll be back, wrap up this edition of the KOAM Morning News right after this. It's comments to pass along for International Women's Day. We'll start with Glenn Ritchie, who says, "My awesome wife, Cindy. While she's the light of my life, she's also a very loving, caring mother and person. Vicki Eldridge, the woman who influenced me the most was my grandmother, Watson. Taught Vicki how to cook, sew, and crochet." No, Ron, we're not. Tiffany Ribbick says that's her mother, Barbara Ribbick. Look at that. Taught me the value of how important family is. Taught me that your job is what you make the best of it. And she did that until she got laid off last April due to COVID-19. And Roma Weathersby Harris says, all the working women who stand strong during COVID. My Dr. Stewart, my mother, my daughters, and my only 2 granddaughters. Tremendous engagement this morning. I want to thank everybody for taking time to honor those important women in your lives. Now, over to Tanya with the news you need to know before you head out the door.
That's right. Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. The House prepares to vote on President Biden's $1.9 trillion COVID relief plan. Senate Democrats passed the mammoth bill Saturday after a marathon session. The package includes $1,400 stimulus checks for individuals making $75,000 or less. Kansas is not considering a tax extension due to COVID this year. Revenue Department officials mentioned it during Friday's online meeting of the Governor's Council on Tax Reform. They also discussed medical marijuana. It is legal in 36 states, and the governor has proposed legalizing it and using the taxes to fund Medicaid expansion. The council learned medical marijuana taxes generated $12 million in Colorado last year, but the state made $300 million on recreational forms of the drug. 5 Southeast Kansas fire departments came together not because of a fire, but for some important training. The training took place at the Osage Township Fire Department in McCune. It was grain rescue training, something that rural fire departments need to be trained on with the number of grain silos and possible incidents that could occur. Firefighters picked up some basics from instructors with the University of Kansas. Warm, dry weather means an increased risk for grass fires across the area. Grass fires can be problematic in the area once the warmer temperatures arrive. A red flag warning was in place for much of the 4-state area over the weekend, meaning burning conditions dangerous. And if you plan on grilling outside as the weather warms up, be sure to move the grill away from the siding, decking, and other things that can catch on fire. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
And no different today, Tanya. The red flag warnings, while they don't officially start until noon, let's go ahead and keep them in mind as they last till 6 o'clock this evening. Wind gusting up to 35 miles per hour, sustained at 15 to 20. And temperatures not only up into the high 60s, low 70s, but very low humidity as well. Kicking in to the middle of the week. Tuesday is going to be almost a repeat of today. A little bit more cloud cover, but still nice and warm. Wednesday is when we begin our scattered rain. And then Wednesday night into Thursday, that's when we begin to pick it up right there as it moves in from the west and is going to present us with a fair share of good heavy rain, some lightning, and last until Friday. Backside of it, cold front will take us down to the 50s for Saturday and Sunday.
All right, well, coming up today at noon, we're making old-fashioned pierogies in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Oh!
Pretty excited about this one.
Oh! Okay. All right, now you got my attention. You know, usually, sometimes we should, not usually, sometimes we should just Mr. Food. I'm like, okay, we got that coming up. But, and then you said pierogies, and now you've got my attention.
Yes.
All right. Your morning news continues on KOAM, CBS Morning News. That's coming up next.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues.
This morning, Jesse's going to bring us a story of a 4-state city celebrating an important anniversary with some great historical background facts. You're not going to want to miss that. That wraps it up for this Monday edition. Have a great, safe day. We'll do this all again tomorrow morning.
And we're going to do it again